for the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, joined by Owen Parks, and we're going to be previewing the Everton-Tottenham game at the weekend. Firstly, Owen, how have you been, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. A little bit better as the week's got on from the results last weekend, but not too bad, mate. First, I think it's hard to start anywhere other than Tottenham's new manager and the appointment of Antonio Conte. Give me your thoughts on the appointment. Do you think it's a good match club-wise?
He's certainly a top-level manager. I think the way he gets his teams organised are always difficult teams to break down. They're always powerful teams. He's a good manager, and good managers usually work at clubs that give them the opportunity to be good. I think with Antonio, I think he's waited after Inter Milan. He's waited for the right opportunity. Obviously, he's got a really good relationship with Paratici, who's gone to Tottenham. So if he gets where he wants, then Tottenham will be a good team because he's a very good manager, and a manager I wish Everton had, because he's a manager who unites a club, who makes everyone fight for each other and demands a lot and increases standards within a football club. Antonio Conte doesn't fail at football clubs. Football clubs fail Antonio Conte.
Well, do you think he's got the players there for it? Obviously, there's talks of his formation. Does it suit? And obviously, the big one being Harry Kane. Do you think he'll suit Conte's system? And do you think this will be enough to persuade Harry Kane to stay?
I'm not sure there are many big characters and big leaders in that Tottenham dressing room for Conte. So I think he's going to have to develop someone. He's going to have to start to build a culture where weak players and players who just aren't very good and don't really like, they like it when it's comfortable and safe, and they're not too dissimilar to Everton, but a bit better, to be honest. He has to make them winners, and it'll be interesting to see if he can do that. There's good players there. Obviously, they're a good team. Obviously, when Pochettino was there, they're a really good team. But Jose there and Pochettino were a good team. Obviously, it didn't work out for Nuno, but there's good players there. It's just whether he can make them winners or not.
No problem. And as an overall, what does it bring to the Premier League having a type of manager like that? I think you tweeted it, actually, the tweet where it's like, we've got Tuchel, we've got Klopp, we've now got Antonio Conte. How much does this bring to the Premier League?
Well, the only two we don't have and we haven't had is Simeone and Zidane. They're the only two we haven't had in the Premier League who I would consider very top of the game. So Klopp's in the Premier League, Guardiola, Tuchel, now Antonio Conte. Obviously, we've had the last few years, we've had obviously Wenger when he was towards the end of his thing, but he was there in the Premier League a long time. And obviously, we had Jose and Carlo. So Benitez, if you kind of want to class him as a top manager at some point, he's been there. So the Premier League's had all the top managers. The only ones the Premier League haven't had is Diego Simeone and Zidane, and I would imagine it won't probably be too long before Zidane comes over, and I imagine when the sad day comes when Diego Simeone leaves Atletico Madrid, is probably the next destination he will look to be the Premier League. So the Premier League got a lot of top managers, even at the other end of the table and the mid-table. There's a lot of good managers in the Premier League.
Right. Obviously, I'd like to, if it was a week ago, we could talk about what to expect. But obviously, with a new manager, we're still a bit wary on what to expect. And obviously, they've got Vitesse tonight, which he was told today you could go to. He's got his quality, his I don't know what they're called, the license to come over and manage tonight's game. So I guess for a lot of us, looking at their game tonight will give us a slight indication on what to expect at the weekend, possibly.
Yeah, I imagine so. But I also imagine he'll rotate heavily for a Dutch mid-table Dutch team at home in the Europa League conference. We want to get off to a winning start, of course, but I imagine his focus is way more on Goodison on Sunday.
Do you think he'll use this more as a see what he's got that's obviously not outside of the top 11 that he's got?
Well, I think he'll have been in training the last couple of days or today or whenever, and he'll be looking around and seeing what type of players he got, who can do one. I imagine that the game will just be a confirmation of that for him. He will use it to confirm any preconceived ideas he probably has of the Tottenham players, and then he'll look to use all that and go into the game Sunday with an idea and a clear structure of how he wants to play.
Obviously, the game's at home. Home advantage, do you think that helps us at all? And give me your thoughts on the current mood of Goodison Park.
Obviously, we've got to get behind the team. The fans obviously play a really important part of Goodison, because when the fans are behind the team, we know it's a difficult place to go over the years. When the fans are in Goodison, statistically, we tend to pick up points. I think towards the end, when even in the 1920 season, I think we only lost a couple of home games when there were fans in there. The season before, we did well towards the end of the season, bits towards the start. I think Ronald Koeman and Sam Allardyce had good home records. Roberto Martinez did for his first season and he lost it. David Moyes always had a good home record. When there were fans in the ground, Carlo Ancelotti never lost a home game. So statistically, we are strong at home. I think this season, it's started off good, and then the last couple of ones have been pretty poor. I think we've got to improve on that. We've got to be more organised, and we've got to look to start off with a basis of trying to get a clean sheet, because if we can get a clean sheet, that sets the tone for not just this game, but the games going forward. We get a 0-0, it stops the rot, we go forward from there.
So, give me some of the people in the Spurs squad you're most worried about, and then tell me how you think Benitez should probably go about reducing their threat.
I think you look going Harry Kane if he's firing, Heung-min Son. I think if he goes for three at the back, I imagine he'll go for one of the wingers, being as a wing back. I think that extra license for them to bomb up and down and to create space on the flanks, and obviously he'll congest the midfield, but they'll be really well balanced. So I think Kane, Son. I've always been a bit of a fan of Moura, to be honest. I think he's a good player. I think Højbjerg's gritty and he does the other side of the game well. I think defenders, I'm not really. I think they're all in their own right good players, but they're not top level for me. So I think it'll be Kane, Son, and potentially more. And I think what we've got to do is don't give them any time on the ball, close them down. Dare say put a few X-rated challenges in on them and just make sure that they're uncomfortable, because we don't want to make it easy for them. I think Son especially has got his relationship with the Goodison crowds. I think Kane, I don't know, he's someone you don't want to give any time or space to. And more, I think he'll be flying down the right a lot during the game. And I think for us, it'll be about making sure that he's not the spare man in any attack, and someone, whether it be whoever's playing on the left or the left back, or whoever, is going to make sure that they pick up his runs. We can't. I say this no matter whether we're playing Spurs or Norwich. We cannot play in a high line or Everton, because we've not got the players who have got good recovery pace, and to make sure that we can, if a ball comes over the top, we can just easily just intercept it and go back to our goalie. We've got to make sure that we block them off and make sure that there's no space in behind us. Yeah, compact, disciplined. We've got to make sure that they're very powerful going forward. And previous games, like I said, we've been overrun, and we've gone to engage the ball, and we've a ball over the top ruined us. And I think Conte will look to exploit that if that's something we do again. Got to make sure that we probably have to defend deep in this one. And like I said, we've got to stop the rot. We've conceded 8 goals in the last 3 games, and it isn't good enough. So we have to limit that, and it starts with a clean sheet. If we can keep a clean sheet, if we draw 0-0, it's a good result. It takes us on to the next games, and it's just about points building, because that's ultimately what got us to 59 points last season and what was a decent season. So if we're to replicate that points total, then we're going to have to start taking points out when we can.
No problem. Obviously, you mentioned the goals we've let in. I was just wondering what your reaction is so far to the last couple of games and the Watford one. I saw quite a few reactions on Twitter, some a bit leery. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the last couple of games for us.
Well, it's everything I worried about in the summer, to be honest. Even before Benitez was linked, before when Carlo left, that we would try and, I don't know, we would lose all the organisation because we've conceded 8 goals in 3 games, and I think every goal has just been pathetic. I think it's looking really, really disjointed at the moment. The shape, the discipline of the team's just completely lost at times. It doesn't know when to. It can't smell danger. It just looks really awkward to watch, to be honest, and especially defensively. And we're okay going forward at times. We were in the second half. We look like we created some stuff, but we still don't have the quality of other teams. So yeah, I think defensively it's been everything I worried about, to be honest. And I've not seen anything so far to suggest that it'll be okay going forward. So we will have to make sure we sort the goals out. I think set pieces are the worst because there's one in every week, and Conte, knowing how meticulous he is, there'll be probably another one on Sunday if we don't get it sorted, because last season we were so good from defending and scoring from set pieces. It's like laughable how bad we are from them this season. It's been such a shift. I think, yeah, I really do worry about us defensively.
Yeah, the set pieces remind me of like the Marco Silva era of every corner seems to be leading to it.
I didn't worry once about set pieces last season. This season, one of many concerns I have.
Are you a fan of the zonal marking, sort of in general? I don't think we've got the players for it, but as a whole concept, are you a fan of it, or do you prefer man marking?
I prefer the one that stops the ball going in the back of the net. So find that one and I'll have it. I always say it as a rule for any coach is your number one obligation is to get the best out of the group of players you've got. And if we can't zonally mark, then it's your obligation to change that. So I think last season we were defending deep from them. We had 2 banks of 4 in them, and it was all about winning the first contact because they would often balls come deep into your box and you head them away and you reset. And not only do you reset in terms of getting out the box, but when you head the ball away and it comes back to them or wherever, you're back in your shape then because you've already set up sort of in the box how you would do out of possession. So I thought that was one of quite a few things we did really well, especially defensively last season. But no, this season I don't think we've got the best out of the players defensively at all, especially from set pieces. I think it would be good to see us going back to what we did, but I don't expect that to happen. But it's something I would like to see.
I don't know if you saw it. I saw it in the Athletic the other day. Michael Cox had wrote it. It was about in the Italian league about how they're defending kicks, and it was literally how we were doing it last year, which obviously over here caused quite a stir. I remember Gary Neville being puzzled for it for a couple of games.
Ian McMahon watched us every week, and he still didn't have a clue what was going on in March.
I just thought it was quite cool to see, a year on, and it's like it sort of seems to be it works. So people are clearly looking at it, thinking, why not?
Well, that's what I mean. I think AC Milan do it. I think there are a number of teams who do it. There was big rage about it last season, but now it's all in vogue. So maybe we weren't idiots after all. We knew what we were doing.
It's very rare to see us be a trendsetter of something so.
We were definitely a trendsetter.
So obviously, we've mentioned a bit about the last couple of games, and we're now, quarter maybe, nearly halfway into Benitez's reign as Everton manager. Give me some of the things you do like. Obviously, you've mentioned the defence and the set pieces. What do you like about what he brings to us?
Um, I like him. It's not a good start when I say I like him as a person. I just think he speaks well. I think he's honest. I think he's realistic to the situation. So I think he handles himself well. I think he's got some sort of grip on how we have to play at Everton in order to get results. He just hasn't got the details right here. I think he's done well to identify we needed more width and to get the ball in the box and to create better sort of passing angles in the final third. Because I think last season we lacked players who could do that. So recruitment and I think an acknowledgement of the situation we're in. I think they're the two things I've liked so far.
No problem. Yeah, no, I get what you mean about the nice person thing. I saw he did something for Real and for I think it was like foster children in Liverpool the other day. He seems like a really nice guy as a person. Apparently, he's very good charity based as well. So I can.
Yeah. It went just about that. Though. I think he speaks well in his interviews, and I think he acknowledges the situation we're in. I think it's just about fixing it.
Well, I was going to say, as we'll know, but there has been some talk about the chat, and maybe he's the type to go to the board and bring change. Do you think that is something he's capable of doing, going to the board and saying this is what we need to change at this club?
Yeah. I think he understands football clubs and what they need to do to improve. So yeah, whether he would do that or not here, I don't know. But he's got a history of, and certainly, I think if anyone's going to start pulling things apart and being meticulous in how the club should be run, then I think it's him. Yeah, my worry is that if he loses a couple more games, what kind of position will he be in to go to the board and saying, you're not selling yourself properly here, or etc. So I worry for him on that, but I do think his ideas are in the right place.
Well, I was going to say, we'll get on to the run of games in a minute because we have got quite a tough run, and I was going to ask you about that. How important is it, though, right now that we get a result on Sunday, and what would you count as a good result on Sunday?
Obviously, you go into every game to win it, but I think if you stop the rot and get a draw, preferably a low-scoring one, because if we draw 3-3 again, we've learned nothing ultimately, have we? So if we get a draw, get a point, then it stops the run. It sets us on a different trajectory. If we win, we go in the game to win and to make sure we can get all 3 points. But if we got a draw, I don't think that'll be a bad result.
Yeah, I'd take a draw quite happily, especially with the new manager bounce that managers tend to have. Yeah, so obviously you mentioned the next couple of games, and they are very tough games. I think we've got Tottenham, Brentford, we've got City in there, Derby, obviously, and Arsenal. Firstly, how many points do you think we can pick up from these next few games?
I haven't even thought. I've only just thought about the next one, so I haven't thought that far out. It's I don't know, because they're all difficult games, but if we can get a solid return out of it, then I think you've just got to take one game at a time, to be honest. That's what we did well last season when we went into December. We had loads of injuries. We just took it one game at a time, and we won most of them. So I think that's what we've got to do again. One game at a time, see where it takes us.
No problem. Obviously, say now worst case scenario and it doesn't go well. Do you think we should? Because I'm pretty sure you, like myself, that we can't keep sacking managers during every down spell. But do you think it puts them in a precarious position with the board and potentially with some of the fans?
No, you're totally right. So obviously, we can't keep with the fans, probably, because there's a lot of them who weren't having them anyway. I was open to him. I think, like I said, I'm interested in his ideas. I think it suits Everton. So I won't be actively going out and calling for his head. For me. I would probably be more sticking up for him. But my issue is I still want the previous bloke to be the manager, so I've got no really interest in banging a drum for Benitez. Where I would still much rather a situation where Carlo was at the club. But obviously, he's not so tough, isn't it? So yeah, I won't be calling for his head because I don't see any good solutions. Obviously, Newcastle are the northeastern billionaires now, and they're settling for Eddie Howe. So if they're settling for Eddie Howe, God, we'll see where we would go.
I was going to say the one benefit of that is at least now he won't ever be hopefully won't be linked with us ever again. He's a name that doesn't go
he has
away.
a long, successful 10 years there.
All right. Well, obviously, we've mentioned the tough games, and hopefully, we do get some points out of it, and hopefully the board don't do anything too reactionary, regardless of how well it goes, because it is a tough year for him. Do you think sometimes it's getting overlooked just how tough of a task this was, bearing in mind the money we've spent and the bare bones of the squad, and even the depth we do have? It's not very good depth.
Yeah, it's the whole situation of the club though. It's not built to be. I don't want to do people down at the football club, but they're not exactly gearing the football club to be a top club, are they? They're just doing the bare minimum, and it's not looking good on Benitez because he's the one who's fallen foul today. You've got Marcel Brown, who I don't know what he does. It's been 8 years. He's not done anything. He doesn't speak to the club, the club's fans or anything. I think we go into the summer every year needing a right back, and he comes out with anything but a right back. You've got the CEO, who again I don't really know what she does, but logic would dictate going from a charity to running a supposed Premier League football club is a big step. So if she's doing the main stuff with the football club, that's obviously a worry for me. Bill Kenwright, I don't think she'll be at the football club anymore. And Farhad, he's gearing the club to a new stadium, but he needs to get better decision makers in business roles in order for us to be successful. But so it's not just Benitez who obviously is trying this difficult at the moment, who's trying to fight against the tide. If you look, I think with what the situation we had with injuries and obviously players, there was Josh King coming in January when he needed a lot more. I think the job Carlo done was incredible for me in terms of getting 59 points on the board with very, very little. As best player Hammers, who could only turn up for a third of the games with Sigurdsson up front and 4 centre backs. That's all because of the club didn't gear up to have Carlo at the football club. They were just still acting mediocre when they had someone that elderly manager at the football club, and they've done the same to Benitez by giving him 1.7 million. So, and for the managers who are Everton, it's so difficult for them to be successful because everyone else at the club aren't gearing up for the club to be successful. That's the long answer.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it shows how well Ancelotti did. Like you said, 4 centre backs, Josh King being our only real backup striker.
I know he scored a hat trick, but King was never fit. Never fit.
No,
he didn't perform well.
I'd like to put money on the fact he won't score another hat trick this season.
You got dragged off after about 60 minutes last week, I think so.
Well, what is your realistic expectation for this season? Where do you see us finishing?
10th again. I think there's so many teams who I think probably better than us. But look, we could finish anywhere between 7th and 10th for me.
That's
7th and 12th.
I was going to say I said 10th or 12th at the start. I don't think that's an awful finish for your first season.
No, I would be fine.
Yeah, all things considered, I don't think that's awful.
I think we'll finish about 10th.
I'd be happy with that if I was Benitez, on the hope that obviously he gets a summer of improvement.
Yeah, I think if we can get to the summer and start giving them money, then I'll be happy with anything in the top half.
Not a problem. So let us move on to, we'll go back to Sunday. Give me your predicted lineup, what you think you'll go with and the shape you'll go with to try and combat Conte.
Pickford. What would I do or what would he do?
Both. We'll have both.
All right, so I think I would go Pickford, Holgate, Mina, Keane, Dean, Townsend, Alan, Delph, Davis, Gray, Richarlison up front. So 4-5-1.
Oh, 4-5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll say, yeah. I think he'll go for the same kind of thing. Pickford, but I think he'll go Coleman, Keane, and another one, maybe Godfrey or Mina, whoever's fit. Dean, he'll go Townsend, I think he'll go the same midfield, Alan, Davis and Delph. I think he'll probably go that. Gray, and I think he'll go Richarlison. I think he'll be pretty much the same, to be honest, as what I've said.
No problem. That wouldn't be it. I mean, we definitely need an extra man in midfield now that we've lost the core.
We can't cope with just two without the core. With the core, we can go 4-4-2, but without him, we need an extra one.
Well, I've asked you for your predicted lineup. We'll end on predicted scores. What do you think it'll finish?
I'm going to be slightly positive and say 1-1. I'm not get battered.
Nice. I'm probably going to go with 2. No, I'll go with 1-1 as well. I don't want to predict a loss. I'll probably stick with 1-1 as well. I was going to say 2-1 to them then.
I'll never predict a loss. I'll go a draw.
Yeah, I think that's the best of the worst, isn't it? The best prediction you can give, really. But yeah, that is all we've got time for today. Owen, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, me too, mate.
No worries. And don't forget, everybody watching, to like the video, subscribe, and comment down below your score predictions for the weekend. Hopefully, we can get a win. If not, I'd be happy with a draw. And don't forget, if you want any of your Everton merchandise, you can buy it through the link in the description down below. It's coming up to Christmas, so make sure you get all your presents brought and stay safe.